I'm Lucid Fiasco, and welcome to Titanfall 2 Tips and Tricks. Sometimes the difference between a good player and a great player can be something very small, something that some players aren't even aware of. In Titanfall, this something is called bunny hopping. First, an important note, if you are on console, bunny hopping will be nearly impossible unless you're using the bumper jumper control scheme. If you aren't familiar with what this is or how it works, please check out this video dedicated to explaining why it's so important. So now on to bunny hopping, bee hopping, god hopping. Well, this skill goes by many names. Though this skill is easier to perform and possibly more powerful on PC, it can also be game-changing for console players. So what is a bunny hop? Well, bunny hopping is a technique that lets you maintain speed and momentum for long periods of time, while avoiding the consequences that normally come with landing from a jump. In Titanfall 1, this was accomplished simply by pressing the jump key immediately upon landing on the ground. This essentially canceled the momentum stoppage that would normally occur when you land on the ground, instead allowing you to keep your momentum and direction. Players who can use this technique have an extreme advantage, as they can use advanced movement to flank enemies and escape tricky situations. To see this concept in action, let's look at a simple bunny hopping example in Titanfall 1. Here I am taking the same route using two different methods. First, I simply run to the target. Next, I use bunny hopping. Side by side, it's easy to see that bunny hopping is the faster way to move. In Titanfall 2, bunny hopping has been slightly modified. To be clear, this video is produced before the final release, so I'm working off of the tech test experience as well as the info that Respawn has released on bunny hopping in Titanfall 2. Bunny hopping is back in Titanfall 2, but it is a bit different. From the limited time we had in the tech test, as well as other gameplay videos by YouTubers with early access, it seems that achieving full bunny hops in Titanfall 2 will require the slide mechanic in conjunction with jumping. You can still use only jumping like in Titanfall 1, but you will lose momentum, whereas in Titanfall 1 you could bunny hop almost indefinitely. So, how do we achieve this new bunny hopping? Well, instead of simply jumping immediately when you touch the ground, you must also be in the slide mode before hitting the ground. So, essentially bunny hopping will now consist of jumping, immediately pressing crouch, and repeating the process. It will be kind of like this: jump crouch, jump crouch, jump crouch, and repeat. This is a little more complicated for console players to perform because this technique will require players to remove their thumb from the right stick to press the crouch button. This is bad. You always want your right thumb to be on the right thumbstick so you can aim at all times. So unless you have a controller with paddles or extra inputs that allow you to crouch slide without taking your thumb off the thumbstick, this new slide hopping technique might not be feasible unless you know there are no immediate threats. Ultimately, I would recommend using traditional bunny hopping on console with a normal controller and only using slide hopping if you're on PC or if you have a high-end controller with paddles. Hopefully traditional bunny hopping will be at least somewhat viable in the final release, but additional testing will be required to find out exactly how bunny hopping works in Titanfall 2. To see the power of bunny hopping in action, I set up another simple test. Using slide to gain momentum, I'm able to hop across this open hallway. Notice there's no stim, no wall running, just sliding and jumping. Now let's compare that with normal running. Clearly, if you are able to perform it correctly, bunny hopping is still very powerful in Titanfall 2. Even just in this short hallway, bunny hopping is about 2 full seconds faster than running. In a game with giant titans that can eliminate you with one shot, that 2 seconds can be very important. So, do you think that bunny hopping is a good game mechanic? Do you find it useful? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to see what everyone thinks. If you enjoyed this video or learned something, consider subscribing or checking out my channel for more Titanfall content.